There's another development here, courtesy of NME. It says several artists pull out of South by Southwest London for art washing, with Tony Blair and David Cameron NATO appearances. I don't know why this is even a thing. South by Southwest used to be a very counterculture thing, especially the one in Austin, right? In terms of like platforming and giving a chance to small up and coming artists to get their kind of foot on the door, to perform for the first time. A bunch of notable artists that we know and love nowadays kind of got their debut, got their start from South by Southwest. Somebody really random I know, like Tim Ferriss, the author of 4 Hour Work Week, he credits his first appearance at South by Southwest for the reason why he became a super popular author and, you know, whatever person now in media and shit. So South by Southwest brand has always been known to kind of push the counterculture, the, dare I say, avant-garde, the people that are on the fringes of society who are trying to make a difference, people who are really trying to push art forward. So it's kind of wild to think nowadays South by Southwest has developed into a platform where they're inviting people like Tony Blair and David Cameron to speak, isn't it? Seems a bit weird, but I guess things are changing. So let's read the article because of NME. It says the first UK edition of the festival, several artists have pulled out of South by Southwest London in protest of appearances from Tony Blair, David Cameron and NATO. What the fuck are they doing at fucking South by Southwest? Maybe these people, you could understand if they're quiet sponsors in the background or something, right? Maybe. But what the fuck do these guys have to do with fucking South by Southwest? So fucking utterly fucking stupid. Let's continue with the article here. The first UK edition of the festival kicked off in London this year and will run from June 2nd to June 7th in Shoreditch. Headliners are Thames, Mabel, Alice Glass, Heartworms and L'Objectif and more also on the bill. By the way, I haven't seen a lot of people calling for Thames to boycott. So I think this boycott sometimes, as great as it is to see people doing the boycott and trying to make some level of change and trying to stop the atrocities or trying to play a part in the stopping of the atrocities over there in obviously Palestine and genocide going on over there. It's just really interesting how some people get flack for certain things and some people don't. I see a lot of Thames content on my timeline. I think I might even follow her on Twitter. And I'm pretty sure I haven't seen a lot of people throwing a lot of arrows or bullets towards Thames for her headlining South by Southwest and not pulling out still. Maybe she has, but I haven't seen it so far. So the headliners are Thames, Mabel, Alice Glass, Heartworms and L'Objectif. As well as live performances, the event also holds conferences and discussions with the likes of Jane Goodall, Wyclef Jean and others. While not publicly shared in advance, a leaked document showed that former Prime Minister Tony Blair and David Cameron were listed on the London schedule, as well as Kate O'Brien, who works at NATO. Blair spoke on Monday and held a discussion about AI in the government, saying that the country should embrace technology as we continue with our AI tutors along with AI nurses and doctors. So they purposely avoided putting Tony Blair's name on the lineup on the schedule for this because they knew if people found out that Tony Blair, of all fucking people, was speaking at South by Southwest London, they definitely weren't going to fucking turn up. Cameron spoke at the event yesterday and centered his talk around healthcare and the future of medicine in the UK. He also drew attention to his late son's battle with rare genetic disease and his mother's struggle with dementia, pushing for easy access to clinical trials and early genome sequencing. Despite neither Cameron nor Blair being shared on the online South by Southwest lineup, sources have apparently said organisers were keen for their talks to go ahead. The move, however, has sparked backlash from many artists on the bill and led to multiple backouts. Sam Akpa, Jasmine 4T, LVRA all counted their performances at the festival, with the latter organizer claiming of art washing. So this is one statement from Sam Akpa. He says, I've decided to pull out my performance of South by Southwest London. A few days ago, a document was leaked by Matt Kennard showing the invited guests who had not been publicly announced. This included Tony Blair, David Cameron, who have been culpable for the immense war crimes in the Middle East, to say the least. Yep, I agree with that one. In addition to this, the festival also platformed Kate O'Brien, who is a chief staff or supervisor board of NATO Innovation Fund, and Israel is not the member of NATO, but they are backed by countries such as UK, US and France, who are all members of NATO and who are all complicit in helping support Israel's genocide of the Palestinian people. Jesus Christ, strong words from Sam Akpa. The CIA also will be returned to the festival. The South by Southwest has the CIA speaking. Honestly, I'm so used to the South by Southwest that I knew of it being up and coming artists like, I don't know, Flatbush Zombies performing, tech startup people there and shit. Like CIA. I decided to take this gig at faith that South by Southwest had cut ties with the US Army. The defense contractor RTX, which they have, but no surprise, they continue to deceive and involve themselves with individuals who are complicit in the ongoing suffering of Palestine and beyond. South by Southwest is using us smaller and minority artists to push information and ideologies that I do not align myself with. I urge and hope that many artists can make the decision to pull out of this week's festival. Yeah, strong words. Big up Sam Akpa. Fucking hell. South by Southwest London. Fucking CIA. Tony Blair. David Cameron. NATO representatives. Fucking nuts. Other artists include Sarah Wild, who have pulled out, Tara Lilly, Salia, Leeds band Rat Pack cancelled their event that was set to take place yesterday and feature NSW. So Rat Pack said, we've been made aware of the new leaked information that indicates the festival has not been going forward. The panel talks, including Tony Blair, a known war criminal, and David Cameron. Not only is this highly deceptive, but indicative of the kinds of people and organizations that are willing to platform. As a collective, we are no longer in good conscience participate in this act of art washing, marginalized POC artists, and will be boycotting. Sarah Wild also urged other artists lineup to drop out. Yeah, big up Sarah Wild, by the way. She's a good follow on social. Big up Blood Clot Sarah Wild. What she say? Let's see what Sarah had to say.
Hello, hope you're well. I already posted this on my story, but apparently it's not reaching any count, so you should check on there more often, right, if you missed it. But listen, I dropped out of South by Southwest over a week ago now, Sxsw. I was one of the artists that rallied and organised behind the scenes to get them to drop the Plantier and the Barclays talk, because I both clapped. You should look into why. I agreed to go on to play, but then found out that they were hiding loads of other talks with David Cameron, Tony Blair, Apple, like a bunch of shit I'm meant to be boycotting, right? So that's when I pulled out. Now, I need to stress the reason why I was able to pull out is because the original promoter that invited me on was able to honour my fee. Otherwise, I would have been stuck, right? But see, those of you immersion working class artists only playing for 100, 150, right? You can fundraise that money, drop out and fundraise that money, or put on an event elsewhere, organise amongst you, but don't be lending your name to that shit, period. But definitely don't be lending your name to that shit if you can afford to, right?
Big up Sarah Wild. I don't know, it's a bit rough. It's a bit unfair to tell people, like, that's the thing about the boycott, isn't it? Like, it's like, there are some people, like, maybe this is why the conversation needs to be had. There are some people out there who are like proper working DJs, as in like, this is like it's barely cutting a 9 to 5 in terms of a salary, but it allows them a lifestyle where they get to kind of go to play in all these different clubs. Like, I remember somebody telling me, actually, like, a lot of these popular nights, obviously in Europe, that some of us all know and love, they might not pay you, but they might invite you to play, which is obviously an amazing privilege and an amazing honor. But it also gives you a good look, so that if you play and you do well, maybe they might pay you in the future, but usually you're just there to fill up the fucking lineup, right? So you're playing in a lot of these places, you're not getting paid, you're maybe getting flown places, but you're also not getting compensated, which is still not great. But when you are getting compensated, it's like, you know, 150, 100, kind of the same sort of shit that I get paid when I play my little bar gigs and shit, which is also not that much money. But you end up relying on it because that adds up, in it. Like, you know, a few gigs here and there, 150, 150, that kind of covers your rent. So you kind of need to kind of play. You need to play to kind of make sure your fucking nuts covered. So when these boycotts happen, it's really unfair that most of the time, a lot of the fucking weight of these fucking protests is put on the backs of like working DJs. The ones who are doing this as like a job. The ones who don't get paid 10 grand per set. They're the ones that bear the brunt of the backlash from the fans and the comments if they don't pull out certain things. But I sometimes have sympathy for them because sometimes they can't afford to pull out because they need that fucking DJ gig. That gig is going to tie them over for the entire year. That DJ gig is going to clear their debts. That DJ gig is going to allow them to just live another day. Live to fight another day. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of out of order that they're the ones that get told to, like, you know, don't take the gig, stay steadfast, remain solid. It's like, bro, like, I can't put on my own events. I need this gig. You know what I mean? I don't have the time to put on an event. I don't have time to organize this sort of stuff. I need to play. And when they don't play, you know, things can kind of go awry. But I do understand what she's saying. I think she's generally right in what she's saying, but it's just unfair that working class, normal, you know, whatever DJs that aren't the big high and flying ones flying around in private jets are the ones that have to bear the brunt of this sort of shit. It continues. Obviously you got this other guy called Matt Kennard also got a statement here. More from Matt Kennard. A lot of people are saying things in a statement to NME. South by Southwest said, as one of the world's largest festivals across tech and music and creative industries, South by Southwest London respects everyone's views and positions and aims to create an open and diverse space for debate and discussions. By the way, that's not true. You don't want an open fucking area for that debate and discussions because you didn't really show or tell people that some people are performing or going to be speaking. You know what I mean? You hid this. That doesn't make me believe that you want honest debate. You know what I mean? You're being a little bit conniving. Across the breadth of the festival, over 800 speakers, we have a broad range of global leaders spanning the technology, cultural industries, and their inclusion does not represent an endorsement of any particular position or viewpoint. But it does though, innit? Nowadays, it kind of does. There is no way to separate those type of things. You can't book people who are complicit in the ongoing genocide there in Palestine and then say that their views do not, you know, align with what we're about. Like, unfortunately, if you platform these people, if you give them, if you book them, whatever, people are going to think that you obviously, you know, are okay with that shit going on over there. And that's why people are boycotting. Come on, South by Southwest, you should know this by now. Last year, the US version of the festival, which was owned by a different company, this time due to sponsorship, saw a huge wave of boycotts. Big names like Kneecap, Rachel Chinori, Lambini Girl, Scowl, Gel, Texas Governor Greg Abbott took to X saying bands pull out South by Southwest of a US sponsorship by don't come back. Austin remains HQ. Organizers of South by Southwest, however, eventually released a statement saying that they do not agree with Abbott, adding that they're no organization that welcomes diverse viewpoints. By the way, eventually this will end up costing them, you know. These type of festivals rely a lot on like niche audiences attending. Like having all these artists pull out for a very noble reasons is probably going to lead to a lot of these festivals eventually going bankrupt. I think. I don't think they're going to be able to survive. It'll be surprising, especially when you think about the rising cost of festivals in the first place. Like I'd be honestly shocked if some of these places end up surviving off of the back of this. I could be wrong, but I'll be fucking shocked if that's the case. I'll be fucking shocked if that's the freaking case.